It's Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. I'm Tanya Harris, and welcome to TMI Daily, your daily roundup of everything people are talking about online, since they aren't allowed to talk about it in person. Yesterday, Donald Trump claimed that we would see much fewer cases of the coronavirus if we did much less testing. That's like saying if Trump weren't a xenophobic, misogynistic, racist, uneducated loudmouth, he'd be Barack Obama. Didn't think so. Stupid Barbie Kayleigh McEnany claimed that 1 million people have requested tickets to Trump's rally in Tulsa this Saturday. I wonder if any of them are part of the millions who attended his inauguration. Speaking of Malibu Dummy, a 2012 tweet from Kayleigh claiming that Domino's Pizza was better than New York pizza has caused Twitter users to bash the pizza chain. Kayleigh, like most things you say, you're wrong about this, and your taste in pizza says a lot about your taste in leaders. Head of the coronavirus task force, Dr. Anthony Fauci, said today that he has not spoken to the president in over 2 weeks. That sounds like something you'd expect Melania to say, but then again, that mail-order bride isn't protecting any of us from dying, now is she? Evangelist and winner of the It's a Good Thing God Can't Really Tell How Full of I Am award, Franklin Graham, is furious over the Supreme Court's ruling to protect gay and transgender people in the workplace, saying, quote, "My rights to fire LGBTQ people are the freedoms our nation was founded on." Trust me, Franklin, if you really started firing gay people working in religion, there would be very few people left to work. Ford announced it'll debut a new Ford Bronco on July 9th, which also happens to be O.J. Simpson's birthday. Ooh, a new Bronco for O.J.'s birthday. Throw in some gloves and a hunting knife and you got a real party. What? Too soon? The soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful is now the first U.S. broadcast series to return to production on stage, which means a lot of wine is going to be thrown at computer screens during Zoom meetings. Yesterday, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said that after negotiations between players and owners stalled again, he, for the first time, feels like there's a very good chance there will be no baseball in 2020. Hey guys, you know you won't be able to take a knee before the game if you don't take a compromise to get them played. Lance Bass is distancing himself from former pal and Vanderpump Rules star Jax Taylor following accusations of racism and homophobic behavior. Now, not as distant as he's keeping from Joey Fatone, but then again, Jax Taylor is no Fatone. SAG-AFTRA issues a do not work order for the Scott Baio film Courting Mom and Dad over the film failing to meet LA County and union COVID-19 safety rules. This is on top of the industry's general advisory not to harm one's career by appearing in any project involving Scott Baio. Now, let's send it over to today's TMI Cast and Crew Roundtable. Stay safe.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TMI Daily. I'm Veronica Aiello, and as always, I'm joined by some of our family members from the TMI Hollywood family. Let's go around the room and let's say hello to everyone watching at home. Let's start with you, Shayna.
Hello, everyone watching at home.
Joe.
Good evening, around the world.
Jocelyn.
Hi, everyone.
Becca.
Hi, guys. Nice to be back.
Welcome back. Chris.
Hey, what's up?
Emma.
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
Jess.
Act fast. If you follow in the next 5 minutes, you will receive a free set of steak knives.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Stewart.
You could do steak knives.
How's it going?
Okay, so let's get started. Donald Trump and his press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, are constantly being asked why the president feels the need to hold a campaign rally right now. The answer has been fairly consistent, saying that the coronavirus is much less of a concern than it was previously. Although yesterday, Tulsa, where his rally is planned for, saw nearly a 10% increase in new cases of the virus just yesterday. Instead of asking whether Trump should or shouldn't be holding a rally at this point, I want to ask, is there an upside to him doing this beyond playing to his base? And before we start the discussion, I just want to add one more thing. Tulsa's County Health Director, Dr. Bruce Dart, said today that he really wishes that Trump reconsiders doing this rally. Another thing that they also said is that they are not going to be requiring masks, and there's going to be no social distancing at all whatsoever, meaning they're not going to be skipping seats or, trying to keep a distance. So let's start the conversation. Who wants to start first? Yes, let's start with you, Joe.
All right. Well, they're not social distancing, and you don't have to wear a mask. Also, you have to sign a waiver that says you can't sue if you get coronavirus. So I think that that's really fun and interesting. I think he's going to be using this not just as a rally to help support his side and get his constituents behind him. I think he's also going to be using it as a way to he wants to show America that, we've beaten this. So no one will have a mask. Everyone will be close together. And I think that's going to kind of be his sounding board for that. Whether the America actually believes it or not, obviously we have scientists that are saying things otherwise. But.
Do you think he's going to be winning other people over by doing this rally on Saturday that are normally not on board with him, to say like, wow, look at him, he's doing this. He's, he really cares about this country. He wants to, everybody there together, or is it not going to change people that don't follow him?
I've said it many times. I think everybody has pretty much already made his choice. I don't think that there's that many voters left.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? Emma.
So one thing that I was thinking about earlier is how much Trump's poll numbers are slipping, even in his core demographics, like evangelicals and, as much as I hate it, white women in certain states. I don't think it's necessarily about trying to reach out to new people who might not have voted for him 4 months ago, but I think it might be to try to get those people back, to try to just at least hit his usual base.
Okay.
Yeah, this is sure to backfire, though. This is so going to backfire on him.
Well, and I think one of the things too is, because they're saying that, that they don't feel like the coronavirus, is such a big deal anymore. That's why they're doing this, him and the press secretary. Then why are they having people sign waivers? It is just so hypocritical, and is it tone deaf, or is it just the way?
I don't understand when you say it's hypocritical. How so?
Because they're saying, again, if they think that there's nothing to be feared by doing this, by not, requiring masks, then why do you care that somebody might sue you? Clearly, nobody's going to sue you if there's no threat of anybody getting sick.
I don't know. By not requiring it, they're sort of going on the freedom train, which is where I'm at. It's freedom of association. It's your body, your choice. Go for it. You're volunteering to go into a giant petri dish. You kind of know what you're getting into. But I don't think they're telling people, hey, coronavirus doesn't exist. If they were, then for sure it would be hypocritical. But they're kind of dancing around a fine line. They are handing out masks. It's a really weird fine line. I don't know if I call it blatant hypocrisy, but it's definitely a fine line.
Okay, well, I disagree. So with you, Jess, I do think it's hypocritical. And considering that Pence today also did say that there won't be a second wave, according to him, and that it's completely, dying out too. So again, why the waiver? You could sign a waiver for other things,
I guess he's a good company then, because with all the protesters who were calling out, people for breaking the stay-at-home order are out being hypocritical. And if you don't see that as also hypocritical, then I guess we're gonna not agree.
Which leads me to my next question that we're going to talk about. So although we know that doing what people think is the right thing, it's not always the way Trump does things. What could he do on Saturday that could help his sliding poll numbers, if anything? Can he do something different at that rally on Saturday that he has not done before that could help him, raise those numbers up? Does anybody have any ideas or anything? Stuart?
Announce more free money.
That's actually
Like-
I'm for the first time going to agree with Stuart.
Like that would help.
Yeah.
That's gonna help his poll numbers if he says, "All right, here's another. The coronavirus isn't a big deal, but here's another $1,200."
Becca?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that can, like, he needs to, I guess one of the things would be there have been even more restrictions put on international student visas, which I've somewhat read about. I'm past my student visa now, so it doesn't affect me
Did you
anymore.
just incriminate yourself?
No, I'm on a work permit.
Oh.
No, I have a work permit, but I'm past the student visa. I'm past the student visa section of it.
Is this why we haven't seen you on the show for so long?
She's on the
With
run.
today's episode, Ice just burst in through the door.
There's no internet access. No, I'm past. I've got my work permit now, but I'm past the student visa portion of it. But he's putting even more restrictions on, which is gonna. I think that's gonna, at the moment, because of those restrictions he's adding, it's gonna cause more of a landslide away from him, because a lot of like major universities like UCLA and some of the bigger ones, they make a lot of their profit off of international students coming in, because we have to pay with actual money. Like you don't get it's very rare that you can get like a government loan unless you have someone to like corroborate like a cosigner. So we have to come and we have to pay them cold hard cash. And so the university is going to get seriously affected by it. And I think if he maybe just kind of let up on the fact that this is a big economic draw from other countries, then he's going to get way more people kind of thinking like, okay, so, there's still a chance for people to come in, and there's still I think he's upped the restrictions on being able to come in even as a student, where you can't work and you're literally here just to go to school and nothing else. International students don't take away from the economy, they add to it, because we can't work while we're here. While you're at school, you cannot work, and everything has to have come out of your own pocket. And now he's putting restrictions on those people coming in. That's going to seriously affect a lot of the major universities and major conservatories, especially for STEM and STEM subjects and artistic subjects. And if he could just like pause though, I don't know, I just disagree with it. But I think if he got rid of that stuff, people would maybe start coming back over and be like, okay, so he's not like a total prejudice idiot. He's just orange.
Stuart, and then I want to go back to Jess's point.
Well, I don't think that. I think, first of all, colleges already as a whole aren't gonna like Donald Trump. I think that's pretty fair to say. Like, colleges are generally pretty progressive. Also, I think in terms of international students hating Donald Trump doesn't really affect his poll numbers.
I'm not talking about international students hating him because they have no effect on the vote. I'm just talking about like if the restrictions keep going up, you're damaging your own university economy, because we pay in cold hard cash, whereas other people pay in loans that you never.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think the university economy is like already like they already don't like Trump, so it doesn't make a difference.
Are you insane?
Press?
Are you insane? College administrations love people like Donald Trump or Barack Obama because they're guaranteeing those loans, which allowed those colleges to jack up tuitions, which is why so many people are in debt. They love these guys. Well, they may preach otherwise, and the professors preach otherwise, and they should, because Donald Trump's a weirdo. But they love large established government because they're allowing them to rape young people financially.
Okay, Emma?
I will agree with the base Jess point that there is a difference between college administrations and college professors and what they say and what they want. I'm not sure how much like easing up on international student restrictions is going to change anything. My dad's a professor at the new school. Granted, what I'm about to say is entirely anecdotal, but he's a professor at the new school. A ton of their students are Chinese, and none of the students want to come into the United States because we are not doing great with the coronavirus cases right now. And I know that they're going into their second wave, but like nobody really wants to come here like it's better. So that's already gone. And then also with Stuart's point, a lot of them were not really huge fans of voting for him in the first place.
Okay. So I want to go back to a point that Jess made a couple of minutes ago. Another point that supporters of Trump are saying is that holding a rally with 60,000 people in attendance is no different than the thousands of people marching and protesting across America right now. Is that true? What are your thoughts on that? Shayna?
Well, I'm going to say I think that the people who are marching are willing and signed up to sacrifice or exchange getting sick for the getting rights and having equal rights represented across the board. I think that all of those people who are marching understand that they could contract the coronavirus during the march, and they get that. I don't know that everybody who attends a Trump rally understands that that could possibly happen. And I think that's part of the reason that the waivers are involved, because a lot of people who are going to, back to the other point that you were making, a lot of them don't even believe that the virus exists, that it ever happened, or that it's a real thing. So having them sign a waiver is basically like, we acknowledge that it's real, but you probably won't get it. So I think, and to legally protect themselves, of course, and abolish any kind of responsibility that they might have by having a rally of 60,000 people together. But I think all of that, like I said before last week, all of these protests are outside, which is different than being indoors in a confined space, in air conditioning, sharing the same air and breathing space for a amount of time. Rallies, protests, they are extended periods of time, but you are marching, you are outside, and they've said science-wise that is a more difficult way to contract the virus is being outside. I'm not saying that that's all, but I think both parties understand that they could get the virus.
Yeah, but the inside keeps you away from the 5G.
Somebody online, one of our viewers, Robert, is saying protesters are generally masked and outdoors, relatively low risk. So kind of like what you're saying, Shayna. I think, and again, this is just my own personal opinion about this. This is one time that I think I see both sides. I mean, what I'm trying to say by that is, people that are saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing rallies, you shouldn't be holding, people in big numbers, but they're also out there protesting. There's 30,000 people, right? Very close to each other. Right. But I think it comes down to, what you believe in and your
exactly. And the genie's out of the bottle with that. What I mean? Once the protests were like that, it's like you can't go back. Can't go back to saying that it's like, but it's like, is it still dangerous? Yes. That's the thing. I think that I think that needs to be made clear, that it's still dangerous. Groups of 10 are still a threat. It's still 10 or more is still dangerous. That's what they're saying.
I was talking to a friend about this really quick, and then I'll call on the rest of you. But I was telling her, if I had to, if somebody said to me, okay, Veronica, you have to either go to a Trump rally or you're going to go to a protest, of course, and you're going to risk your life, you might get COVID. Of course, I'm going to, do the protest. Why would I want to risk my life? But again, that's a personal choice. To hear Trump call, crooked Hillary and insult, and, there's just no point to that. Like, my life is not going to feel like it's going to get better by going to a Trump protest, but I feel like I can make a difference by going to a protest and standing up for, for what I believe in. But again, it's a very personal thing, but I do, as much as I hate to say it, I have to agree with some people. I do see that argument as valid, again, just my opinion. So,
right. No, yeah. Totally get it.
Emma.
In a similar vein, I think that if Trump rallies were to be held outside and people would be wearing masks, in terms of like coronavirus morality, they're effectively the same. There's still huge gatherings of people who are standing up for what they believe in. I deeply disagree with what the people at Trump rallies believe in. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's a different thing because they're doing it inside and they're not necessarily wearing masks. Like, it's not as much of a part of the culture of people there. But in terms of like the base level of people going and standing up for what they think is right, they are very similar in that regard.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's like, the risk is a factor, but if you're gonna go down with coronavirus, I mean, at least do it for something that you believe in, whether it be like supporting Trump or supporting, equal rights or Black Lives Matter. Like, I mean, if you got to catch it, I mean, do it doing something important, not like going out to eat for a piece of cheesecake. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who aren't even involved in neither side, like no political voice at all. Like, they just want to be outside and they're going out to eat in these restaurants that are closed off with tables that are, far enough apart, allegedly, with people with face shields, and they're taking that big risk for a slice of pizza. And then these people are going out to, voice their opinions for a world that they want to live in. So, like, what hill do you want to die on? The slice of pizza or shaping the world to your benefit?
Isn't that
What
up to
kind
you?
of pizza?
Yeah, that's what I
It's
mean.
up to you.
That's coming up, Emma. That's coming up.
And
I find it laudable how, like, once the protests started, though, a lot of people's attitudes changed about breaking the lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's laudable, the hypocrisy. Like,
is it hypocrisy though, Jess?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference because
totally is.
You're changing the world, Jess. It's a little different.
You're changing the world.
Yes, it's a little different. You always say about the hypocrisy.
It is.
But you know what? Everyone finally got angry enough that we went out there and we're risking our health to do it. It's a little bit different than going out there asking for a haircut. It really is.
Well,
so
according to all the people,
thing.
according to the people that I'm calling out for hypocrisy, are saying that people don't have a right to go out there and put other people's lives in danger. So I whether you're going out for that slice of pizza or you're going out to protest, it's still the net result's the same.
Yeah, I mean, really,
the result's the same, but like Chris said, there's a little bit of a difference between the two.
It is a difference, but the only difference really is that, like, you can, like, with the whole Trump rally thing, you have a person to put it on. With the protests, we didn't have a person to, like, hold liable if there's a bunch of new cases that come out. You know what I mean? Even with the protests to, like, just open America, there was, like, not one person to look at. But in the Trump rally case, you have a person to look at because he's responsible for this gathering. So it's really the difference. I mean, you still believe in something. It's just you have a person to look at.
And Jess, I always said they had the right to do the protest, that they always had the right to go out there. I thought it was messed up that they were bringing guns and that they could contaminate people that didn't want to be.
You also didn't support the people that went out without guns in Huntington Beach. And I believe, I'm not sure it was you or somebody else, but the words were, shouldn't be allowed to do it.
No, I never said that. I'm like, if you want to risk your life for whatever that you want to risk your life for, if it compares to what you need to do, as long as it ain't oppressing me, go live your dream, my darling.
Yeah,
as long as you're not trying to oppress me and mine.
And it all goes back to, like, intent. It's okay, am I going to risk my life because, I want to go get a haircut? Or am I going to risk my life, because I want to, for social changes, for things that need to be, that we need to, work towards. So again,
from a public health standpoint.
Sorry?
From a public health standpoint, and you guys know how much I hate cops. Like, I was on the anti-cop thing before this whole George Floyd debacle. But if you look at how many people die a year from police abuse, it's not even a statistical anomaly compared to how many people have recently died from COVID. And I think that should be the top priority. So while I do think the protests are important and putting a highlight on police abuse, the abuse has been there and probably will continue because the state is not going to relinquish power. But I think we've lost sight of what's really important, and that's over 100,000 corpses. 100,000.
Okay. I'm reading a comment online. Even Trump had to offer something to protesters with his executive order today. It doesn't offer much, but it's unenforceable. But who would believe that protests could push Trump to do anything? So just wanted to share that. Stuart, and then I'm going to move on.
Well, first of all, the protest I went to, at least, everybody was wearing a mask. Everybody. And so at the Trump rally, obviously, it's not going to be required, and people probably aren't going to wear them. Second of all, the protests were in response to the murder of George Floyd. The Trump rally is a campaign rally. That's just the standard thing that campaigns do. and it's not in a response to anything in particular. It could be done at any time. That, I think, is the distinction for me, is the protests aren't like a random, like, oh, let's just schedule this for this time because it's convenient. He was murdered, so they protested after that. That's how it works. Trump could schedule his rally a couple months in advance, give it more time to slow down, but he's choosing not to. So there is a difference.
Yeah, there's a very minor difference, and that difference
it's
gets
not minor.
Fuzzier. It gets minor when you put the backdrop of a global pandemic on it, and that one that we're not even close to out of.
Well, but there is a difference, though.
No, I mean, there's definitely, like I said, there is a difference, and I think this is one, topic that nobody's ever going to agree on. Because everybody, has their own opinion as to what we should be doing, what's the right thing to do, and how it's going to affect you personally more than anything else. So, okay, I want to move on. It's time for today's Just One Question. I'm going to pick some of the topics from the top of the show and ask you one question about the topic. This is a long one, so bear with me. Anthony Fauci said that he has not met with Trump in over 2 weeks. Should he and the other responsible members of the coronavirus task force be taking it upon themselves to get in front of the cameras and let the American people know where we are with the virus, or given Trump's habit of firing people who contradict him, should they not rock the boat, which would all but end their ability to help in the fight against COVID-19? So is it their responsibility to get in front of the camera and keep educating us, keep letting us know, or do they just not want to get into trouble with Trump? Yes, Shayna.
Actually, I've seen Anthony Fauci. I saw him on the news. He was with them. It was one-on-one. It wasn't during the White House briefings, but it was a one-on-one interview with him. So I think him and Deborah Brinks are both talking out, but I don't think that they are part of the White House briefings anymore. And I don't think that they are talking with him. I know that what's her name? The newest press secretary, Mika Brabra, the blonde girl, the one. Come on. I'm sorry. They all kind of look. I'm really not trying to be qualifyingly weird, but they all do kind of look alike. They all kind of look like Tiffany Trump, like all of his press secretaries. They all kind of look this. Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, they all kind of look like Marla May. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. Maybe he does like a certain type of professional looking.
Sarah Sanders looked nothing like her, just so you know.
Yeah, but they all
kind of like all the women that are like,
Maybe
they all kind of Kellyanne Conway.
Scaramucci looks just like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
I think
Spicer.
he has a type is the point.
Yeah, she didn't last very long. She didn't make it very long, the brunette. She didn't handle with it very long.
Okay.
But she was called out for this because even Fox News has gotten on her about this. Like, girl, where are the people that are the doctors? Why aren't they briefing us? What is going on? And she was like, everything's fine, you guys. It's totally fine.
Yeah, the last press briefing that Anthony Fauci was at was April 28th. It was on April 28th.
Yeah, so she said, I talk to them every day, so you don't have to worry about it.
The coronavirus briefing that we had was on April 28th. So.
Yeah, she says, I talk to them every day, so you don't have to worry about that. They update me, and I let you know.
Okay. Good Christian Franklin Graham said that it should be his right to fire members of the LGBTQ community because it is one of the freedoms our country was founded on. My question is this. Since the United States was also founded on the back of slaves and indentured servants, isn't it time that the United States moves on from the things we were founded on and start to look to things to build upon for the future? Thoughts? And I just want to really quick, he said, this is what Franklin Graham said, people of sincere faith who stand on God's word as their foundation for life should not be forced by the government to compromise their religious beliefs. So that is what he said. Jess.
Nobody should be forced by the government to do anything as long as you're not committing a crime, like a property crime. And if you're running a private business and you want to fire somebody for whatever the fuck reason, you should be allowed to do it, period. Full stop. Now, if that's some bigoted reason, I guess that's your right. I mean, you're probably not going to be in business very long, but that's your right. We all should enjoy equal rights. And yeah, that is one of the tenets that this country is founded on. That's the freedom of association, like I was talking about yesterday. And before everybody yells at me, just hear me out. That freedom of association is very important. That's basically the spirit of the First Amendment. So what other things, since, as you put it, the country was founded on slavery, which it was not. It was founded with slavery, for sure, but that wasn't a basic tenet. That's why it doesn't mention slavery in the Constitution until the constitutional amendment to abolish it. So what else from the old world or from the founding should we remove? Should we remove the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment? Like, which ones should we just ditch? Or should we just add on new things? Like, what else should we get rid of? I'd love to hear it.
Thoughts on that, Chris?
Well, we could get rid of the 13th Amendment because that shit is bullshit. That's one we can get rid of. But I'm also with you. Like, yes, they're like, but I'm also, here's my thing too. My whole thing really is like, when it comes to this whole thing, why is religion involved? Like, religion and law should not be a thing. I'm sorry, I don't know why that is.
State, right? But it's gone off the court.
Yeah, I understand that, like, religion does have good principles, and they're like, our laws are based like thou shalt not kill and stuff like that, like murder is illegal and stuff like that. But like, beyond like the basic tenements, religion should have nothing to do with what's going on. So like, the fact that people are like, well, it's my Christian right, like that has nothing to do with the fucking law. And if we create laws that says you can't, like, regardless, and here's where the part where me and Jess may differentiate is like, listen, yes, we should be free to, fire or hire who we want, like you said, association. But at the same token, if we have created laws and we all come together and say, like, this is the law that you can't fire somebody for being gay or black or a woman, then you can't do it. Unfortunately, that sucks. For you, yes, you're a person that believes that you should be able to do that, but like, you can't. And you can't be surprised if that person turns around and sues you and you lose, because if they can have evidence that says that you did it because of these reasons, then you broke the law. But religion should have zero to do with it, period.
Well, I'm with you as far as law goes. Like, if it's a law, it's a law, and like, you have to like follow it to some extent, or you'll be, you're responsible for not violating said law. What I'm saying is, I think those laws are morally unjust.
That's fair.
Okay. Emma, you wanted to say something?
Morality is a different argument. So I'm not going to get into that deeply. I just want to point out we do change the Constitution, not all the time, but on a semi-regular basis. That's what all the amendments are. We can still pass new constitutional amendments if people think it's a good idea. If everyone's elected representatives think it's a good idea, we absolutely should change the Constitution and get rid of some things and add some new things on. I
didn't say we shouldn't. I said, which one should we repeal or add? Like, that was part of the question.
Amendment if you want to. I think that would take up a long time in this show.
Yeah.
But okay, Stuart.
Well, first of all, to answer that question, Jess, abolish the Second Amendment. And also in terms of like what the founding fathers did, and should we move forward and stuff? Yeah, I mean, to me, what the best part of the Constitution is the fact that they said, okay, we know things are going to change, so here's the framework for changing it. The fact is, 250 years ago, when the country was founded, slavery was legal and practiced. Obviously discrimination was widespread. The world was a completely different place. So obviously, yeah, we should move forward and try to stick to the original principles as much as makes sense. But ultimately, we have to do what's best for us now, not what the founding fathers thought was best for them, because they're going to be different. So of course we should move forward and not worry about so much what the founding fathers would have wanted, but what is best now.
That's not my argument, and I'm not one of those people that thinks the framers were geniuses.
I know that's not.
I am all for just 100% protection of natural rights, which is a very small subset of what's in the Bill of Rights.
No, I'm not. This isn't.
And I think those
response to you,
things
this
are
is response to-
inalienable and will never change. And Stewart's on T-Mobile, which sucks. So, like, I think those things will never change. So, and I would say abolish all like constitutional amendments with the exception of certain natural inalienable rights, because I think that handles it all.
Okay. Emma, and I think you made a really good point about the separation between religion and morality. Because just because you're a religious person doesn't make you a moral person. And just because you're a moral person does not make you a religious person. Trust me, I know. I grew up Catholic and I know a lot of people. One of the things too that I wanted to add was in terms of Franklin Graham, right after the election, he did an interview and he said, I think God was behind this last election right after Trump was elected. So let's move on to baseball. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said he is starting to lose hope that there will be a baseball season in 2020 after owners and players have gotten nowhere in negotiations. With all of the other sports leagues either scheduled to come back or in the planning process to be back, how much would this hurt baseball if teams don't play this year? Chris.
First of all, baseball. That's what I got to say about that. All right. I know Emma doesn't like that, but like, let's be honest. I respect the game because it is a skill game, but it's trash. Also, I mean, it is gonna hurt the teams, right? Because I mean, look at the look at the salaries they got to pay these players, and like they got contracts that they got to fulfill. So like, even if a season ain't going on, they still got to pay a certain percentage. So like, it's gonna hurt. And then of course it's a morality thing because people want to put on their hats and eat disgusting hot dogs and yell at people for 6 hours to watch a game. But yeah, I think it will hurt if they don't have a season, because I mean, and they could, because you have to take a certain losses. Like look at some sports that have already come back. Like they have MMA has come back, and like they don't have people in the crowd, but they still have an event and you can still watch it on pay-per-view and things of that nature. So people will still be attending. It's just that you're gonna have to take some losses in revenue because you can't buy like tickets and shit like that. But people are still gonna buy jerseys and hats and fucking people. Some people are probably still gonna buy like stadium shit and put the foam fingers on in their house. So like you're not gonna lose that much if you just play the game. It's really up to the players.
I think baseball is boring now, Chris? Like if there's no audience, like crowd, it's gonna be like watching golf.
Yeah, this is true. I've only enjoyed baseball when I've been at a baseball game, but listen, people want it.
And I want to add a fact here, a fun fact. In 1994, when baseball went on strike for one season, it took them 8 years to get back their audience numbers back. So that'll be interesting to see how this is all going to play out now. Becca.
I think it's almost interesting how baseball, which is a sport that does not require much contact between human beings, is the one that seems to be floundering the most, because like Chris said, MMA is back, and I'm pretty sure WWE is still going. I think wrestling is still kind of happening. I think there are some, I think of all the sports, there's really not that much contact between players in baseball, unless I'm just, unless I'm completely off the subject. But
there's a lot of spitting though.
Well, maybe, I mean, from what I understand, that is not a necessity to the game, so maybe that could just be stopped. I think baseball's they're gonna struggle, but it's baseball and it's been around for I don't even know how long, a long time. I know I watched League of Their Own
over 100
a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, one, it's a great movie, and also it shows you like the history of baseball. I don't think they're going to really struggle that much. It's not like, yes, they did kind of have that strike in 1994, but you look at how like baseball is all over the world now. Like it's not just in America. Like the NFL and whatever the baseball league is called, NBL,
MLB.
The league, the special group of people, they've managed to make their way over to the UK, and it's becoming really big in the UK as well. So I think the recovery that they'll have to get through is not going to be anywhere near as long. It's not going to be anywhere near as painful. They've got, like Chris was saying, they've got so much merchandise, and not just jerseys and foam fingers. You've got phone cases, you've got like comforter sets, you've got teddy bears, you've got everything now that can keep pushing it. And whatever Emma's pointing to, there's so many things. So I don't think they're going to struggle. I also think it's funny that I don't know, you don't have to touch the other people, just play.
I want to read comments from the viewers at home. So Danny says, first of all, Emma, let's go Yankees. And he says, I'm good with not paying $20 for a beer, but I do miss that awesome feeling you get by being at the stadium. And Peter wants me to tell you, Becca, that it's sorry, I just lost the comment. I love that Becca's reference on baseball isn't the movie A League of Their Own. Okay, Emma, and then I'll go to Joe.
There are certain teams, like all the ones that are being represented on this panel right now, that are going to be fine if there's no baseball in 2020. The Yankees obviously have so much money. Like, I love them, but I know. The Dodgers are doing pretty well. Nationals just won the World Series. We're all going to be fine. Where it becomes more of a concern is for smaller teams who don't do as well, who, like, it's been ages since they were even close to the playoffs, like the Diamondbacks. They're going to struggle. And
the A's and like the
yep.
Royals, and I mean
the Royals were semi recently in the World Series. They won the World Series a few years. But like
the Rays,
Milwaukee.
The Rays.
Yeah, exactly. There are tons of teams that just
the Lions, stuff like that. Yeah,
they just don't make that kind of money.
That's
and they're going to be the ones having a problem. I think that, yes, there's not that much contact, but from the admittedly not as much research as I wish that I've done today, a lot of the problem is not so much the contact with the players as the players are being asked to share in the losses from the season. And listen, it's hard to emotionally be okay with that when it's the high paid players. But when you've got, some young rookie who's not making a lot of money and his first year in the big leagues, that's a problem for him.
Okay, Joe.
Well, first of all, Becca, there is a lot of self-contact in baseball, but wash your hands. I personally, I know that I'll be disappointed if there isn't any baseball this season. I think a lot of people are. I don't think it's going to be affected the same way that the strike was, just because we kind of know what's going on. Baseball as a whole has gone through so many changes, and it's still here. So yeah, I do feel for the smaller teams. I really do feel for the players that are getting standard base salary. Those guys are struggling. But at the same time, you also got to think of all the people the guys that are playing minor league that were getting nothing before, and are just now they're not getting nothing, and they're not getting the training or the warming up or whatever they need to get them up to the big leagues. So I'm gonna miss you, baseball, but I can't wait to get back into the parking lot at Dodger Stadium to stab some Giant fans. So let's get back here as soon as we can.
Okay, last one, Stuart.
Well, it's good you saved the World Series champion for last. The thing with the strike is the strike was a big labor dispute that was highly publicized, and it was just a result of a labor dispute. The coronavirus has stopped every major sports league. Ultimately, if baseball doesn't have a season, it's going to be bad, but it's not going to be nearly as harmful as the strike was. I mean, obviously financially it's going to be terrible, but that's already true. From the financial perspective, the players agreed to prorated salaries for whatever the number of games played. It was like over 100 or something. And yeah, basically what Emma was saying, the owners want to pay the players less per game than they would have made for a full season, because there aren't going to be fans in the stands and all that, and the players don't want that. So that's basically the rundown of the labor dispute. I don't think it's going to end. I think ultimately either the owners are going to cave or there's not going to be a season. And that's super disappointing. But I don't long term, it's not going to affect the game.
Okay, Jess?
It just occurred to me that there's probably a lot of dyslexic MLB fans out there that are super disappointed right now when they found out that BLM isn't what they thought it was.
You don't.
Okay.
I'd just like to say kudos to everyone who has their hat just ready to grab. I love all you
That
guys.
was impressive. That was really impressive. Jess, and I have a comment for you from Danny online. He says, my response to most of Jess's opinions today would be, "You're killing me, Smalls," from one of my favorite movies.
Sandlot.
Okay.
Oh, the Sandlot.
Let's move on to Domino's Pizza, shall we? Twitter detectives found a 2012 tweet from Kaylee McEnany claiming that Domino's Pizza is better than New York pizza. Now, I don't think I need to go into a discussion about how wrong that statement is. So instead, let me ask, does her taste in pizza say a lot about her taste in presidents? Now, I actually have a lot to say about this, so just bear with me here. This is really crazy. If you go on Twitter, it's a big deal. I mean, everybody's, talking about it. It was trending earlier today. And, I consider myself a liberal, but I can't be too liberal either. I mean, this is just really ridiculous. I mean, I don't like this woman. I can't stand her. I think she's an idiot. I think she's a moron. But for people to actually, attack her for this, it's wrong. It's wrong. And on top of that, there are people that are actually calling out Domino's I guess Domino's Pizza said, I have the tweet here. They tweeted back, "That's one heck of a compliment. Thanks for the love." Yeah. And people actually want to boycott Domino's and destroy a business.
Not only that.
That's terrible.
Guess when that tweet was?
When she was in college, like
2012.
Yeah, 8 years ago. She was in college when she made. I mean, to me, this is really absurd. And I also have one more thing that I want to share with you guys. So, Chad Gilmartin, he's the White House principal assistant press secretary. He tweeted this earlier today. How can you tell Trump will win in November when cancel culture seizes on an 8-year-old tweet about pizza? Keep up the good work, Kaylee. I hate to admit it, but I think, I think he's right. He's making a good point. It's ridiculous. Rick Wilson too, the former Republican strategist. He was the one he's the one that started the whole thing with Domino's. He was angry. He lashed out at them. I mean, come on, really? Like, seriously? Oh, okay, Shayna, I'm done ranting. Go.
No, that's what I was going to say. I was going to bring up that Rick Wilson was the guy who initiated the tweet that said, you guys just lost your business. We're not going to do business with you anymore. And what's even more crazy, Veronica, is Rick Wilson is one of the founders of the Lincoln Project with George Conway, who is married to who? Yes, Kellyanne Conway, the legal representative of Donald Trump. It is a small little swamp up in Washington, a small little swamp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Stuart.
Well, I think something that people are upset about on Twitter doesn't actually mean they're mad about it. Like, I know, like, I would have, if I had been on it this time, would have tweeted like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, how could you do that? But that's trolling. That's a joke. I don't think anybody actually thinks that Domino's should be boycotted because.
No, but they do. Like, that's what they were. Like, that was the big deal on Twitter.
That's what they're saying, but that's not necessarily what they actually believe. They're saying something on Twitter and actually believing it are two very different things.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I mean, but
and I think it's more of a trolling thing, to be honest. And first of all, New York pizza is the best pizza in the country. Domino's isn't that bad. Domino's isn't that bad. Domino's is
Domino's is terrible.
Domino's for the price is a pretty good value.
Well, I think Domino's is actually not that bad, but being a New Yorker, I have to say that.
I mean, New York pizza is the best ever. That's just the bottom line.
Yes.
Strawberry pizza is the best.
My favorite part of this show so far has been Stuart explaining to us what jokes on Twitter are. We can't tell the difference. A panel of comedians.
Yeah, and you don't even have one of these, Stuart.
Tweet-splaining? Tweet-splaining?
Can't take you seriously.
Jess, how many followers do you have?
You just got Emma.
Probably less than you do.
Yep.
Because I'm sure if if I
okay.
just tweeted out platitudes, I'd have a bunch of followers.
Okay, let's go back to Emma real quick. Emma, what were you saying?
I mean, also as if followers on Twitter matter about like when it comes to who you are as a person.
Yeah, that's how you measure self-worth.
Yeah.
Careful, that's how Jess like defines.
Listen, I'm sure that there are genuinely people who really want to boycott Domino's over this, and I'm sure there are people who are genuinely being awful to her because of this. That's not like a valid reason to be terrible to. I mean, listen, there's no reason to be terrible to somebody. That's not a valid reason to criticize somebody. It's not about the content of her character. People should not buy Domino's, but that's because the quality of their pizza is terrible. Like, what a stupid thing to get mad about. Like, what an absolutely idiotic thing to get all up in arms about. Get whatever pizza you want. I was gonna make a dumb joke about how it shows that like she had coronavirus in 2012 because her sense of taste is gone, but like man.
But I think it all goes back, I think, to just the hatred that people have for this woman, you know. And I mean, anything that she says, anything that she, you know, it'll be a backlash no matter what. So, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. But at the same time, people really are stupid though as well, and they will, you know, make big deals out of, you know, things that shouldn't be big deals. Yes, Joe.
Listen, don't boycott Domino's because of what she said. What I want you to do is go down to your local New York/New Jersey pizza place where there's a guy named Paulie or Tommy or Tony tossing dough in the air while wearing a white t-shirt and judging your toppings, and go eat one of those pizzas and you won't go to Domino's anymore. That's all I got to say. Hey, have a pie. A pie.
Chris.
Listen, 2012 it was a rough time for people. You know what I'm saying? She was in college. Like, she may not really believe that, but it might have been just what was available to her. Because look, in 2012, I thought Kraft macaroni and cheese was better than homemade. Was I right? No, of course not. Homemade is always better than Kraft. But a nigga was broke, so like when Kraft was the only thing that I was eating at the time. That was literally like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So of course it was the best thing to me. So you can't look at, and she's in college, so like she was probably broke too. So Domino's was probably the best thing she could do, because you can't really live day to day off of New York pizza, because that shit gonna add up financially. But you can go to Domino's, get you like 2 larges and live off there for like a hot week, depending on what your appetite is. So of course she's gonna say Domino's is better, because that fit her budget and that fit her lifestyle, just like when I had Kraft.
Okay, Jess?
I'm gonna have to disagree with Joe a little bit here about the New York pizzeria thing. Like, in the age of COVID, I don't want a bunch of hands and breath and some guy named Paulie in a white stained t-shirt handling my food. I'd rather have something completely made by a machine, just totally autonomous and hermetically sealed. But I think the whole thing about this call out, this cancel for her, is just highlights where we're at in 2020. Like, people are out on the streets now canceling statues. They're like, Thomas Jefferson, fuck you. You're canceled. We're pulling down your statue. They pulled down a statue of a conquistador in New Mexico like just a couple days ago. Like, we're hyperbolic at this point. It's insanity. We're just looking for any excuse to cancel someone.
Yeah, and I want to say again, do not boycott Domino's Pizza. It's not their fault. Shayna.
I was just going to say, Chris, she actually replied to the tweet and she said, I love you, Domino's and Pizza Hut. So her taste has expanded. She's also including the Hut as well as Domino's.
Listen, Donald Trump could be like Domino's. Like, maybe at the time people think that this is the best thing that's available to them because they have no other choice. But like, maybe later their taste will, expand.
He used to endorse the Pizza Hut Big New Yorker pizza.
You know what I'm saying? Oh no!
It was Donald Trump.
Never endorse the Pizza Hut.
And it was good. It was delicious.
Jesse, no.
I'm from New York. I would never endorse it. I may secretly guilt it,
Donald,
but I would never endorse it.
As usual, you completely misunderstood me.
In 2008, he took Sarah Palin, the then vice presidential candidate, to real New York pizza at Famous Familia on 50th and Broadway, which is also not real New York pizza. But
okay, Stuart, did you want to finish this off?
Yeah, once again, I don't think the boycott Domino's is a real hashtag. I think that's people who are having fun with mocking Kaylee Mack or whatever the fuck because it's fun to mock her. I think I legitimately don't think anybody is planning on boycotting Domino's. I think it's
Until
just purely
the social justice warriors get their hands on it, and then they're going to.
Yeah.
no.
There
I
are
think
people gonna run too far with it, just like people run too far with everything.
But
People are
that's-
gonna
the
run
thing
too
is-
far with it and take it to a whole nother level. Domino's sucks, and
people
and,
people are going to
it
say
does
that
reflect the president at the moment.
people are going to say that they're going to do that on the internet. They're not actually going to do that. It's
You
purely
don't know that there are people that might do it.
it's purely hyperbole.
Yeah, no, there's
it's
people
all,
to this
it's all
day,
front end.
Stuart, that I know that haven't eaten Chick-fil-A to this day
I haven't
because
eaten
of the
Chick-fil-A.
statements that the guy made a long
But
time
I've
ago
not- but-
about gay. Yeah,
But
Chick-fil-A.
that wasn't an internet thing.
Don't eat
That's
Chick-fil-A
been
'cause
going
it
for a
tastes
long
like
time.
shit.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A sucks.
Chick-fil-A
Anyway.
is
It's really
delicious.
overrated.
Yeah, my pizza place
Guys,
doesn't
please
even
don't
know
talk. Please. Stuart, never underestimate the power of Twitter. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, so today for our last segment, yesterday a Craigslist employment post went up looking for energetic minority actors in the Tulsa area to wave signs and cheer at an upcoming event. Although the post was most likely a joke, Snopes.com, who investigates these kinds of internet stories, has not been able to verify it one way or the other yet. So, as actors and creatives here, if you were up for the part as a crowd member for Trump's rally in Tulsa on Saturday, what would you bring to your audition as far as maybe a character for the audition? Would you dress a certain way? Would you bring props? Basically, what would you do to make yourself stand out for this casting call?
Veronica, I would show up. I'm Black woman in Tulsa. They would have cast me
And they would put you
immediately.
in the front row, and they would, you'd be right
Immediately.
in the
I would just show up and not even have anything but blue on.
Shanna, they'd offer you a cabinet position.
I know.
front. Okay, Chris?
I would show up in a butler's outfit with a metal tray, like the dining tray, just to and then inside it would say "All Lives Matter," and I'd serve it to him on the plate.
Hey, Joe?
I mean, obviously they've got plenty of me, so I really wouldn't be much on the casting unless they're looking for English lit college professor types. But, I mean, if you're gonna play it, you got to play it all the way, right?
No.
Oh, this is so good. You guys should try some. Oh, it's delicious. I mean, come on. I am not getting COVID now, baby.
Yeah, the English lit professor probably wouldn't get cast, but that right there, that character, you'd be a shoo-in. Emma?
Well, I would just turn up.
4 more years.
I would just turn up in the most Jewy outfit that I have, come in as orthodox as possible, and start talking about how Trump should be president is basically in the Torah.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in? Jess?
I'm just going to chime in by saying I refuse to answer this question because I would have to do something extremely insensitive to try to stand out in that crowd.
Yeah, right. Like I'm thinking I'll just show up as myself, and they'll probably assume that I'm a Trump supporter. To be honest,
Yeah.
like.
All right.
You just wouldn't be VIP as me and Chris. You wouldn't be as VIP as me
I'd be in the back with all the other
we would
white
just
guys.
go to the front of the line. It's
Yeah,
okay.
they're just gonna assume Jess is security and just have him walk right on in.
Yeah, we would just go right behind where he's gonna stand. Like we'd be right there.
Okay, well,
Oh,
that
I'd
was
dress up
fun.
as a princess. I'd be an English princess and just guide everybody in.
Okay, well, that is our show for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, with fitness studios opening up, what are some concerns and challenges that owners are currently facing? Well, we'll find out when we have a guest who owns a Pilates studio. She's going to be joining us, and she's going to be telling us some of her concerns, some of the changes that they're going to be making, some of the changes that she's already made. So we'll have a good discussion with her. So make sure to tune in tomorrow. So have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you back here at 6 p.m. Bye.
Physical.